Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Nivairo and welcome to my studio. Today we will be doing a walkthrough for my latest project, Call You Now. So I got inspired by this ringtone I found in iOS 26 on my iPhone. I really thought it was a jam, so I really wanted to do something with it. Let's walk through all the different layers I made. So let's start with the vocals, for example. The vocals are completely me. I just recorded them with my SD1 microphone from Universal Audio. You can also see it in the reel, it's the same microphone. And I used my Universal Audio 4710D preamp, if that really matters, because for this there's so much processing over it. Anyway, let me show you the main layer.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow, cause I miss your love.
And let me mute everything. So this is basically the dry vocal, but already melodined.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow.
So let's start with the first bit of plugins. So I'm using a secondary autotune because, like for example, melodyne sounds really natural. I want to have some more autotune-ish sound, so I also use the Waves Tune Live, I think. No, the real-time version, it is. To give it like the more, R&B, hip-hop-ish character.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow, cause...
Then next up is my warm audio. It's basically an LA2A, so let me just show you. LA2A compressor. And the settings are, so you can at least try to recreate it yourself. More or less like this. It's basically the warm audio WA2A compressor I'm using on my vocal. So let me get rid of this.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow, cause I miss your love, need your love, calling you now.
Right, next up is the kaleidoscope. It's basically a flanger, phaser, chorus. It's an effects plugin from Waves, which really adds something to the sound. I used the drum dual flanger presets, and I didn't think I changed a lot of it to it.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow.
So that's that. Then we have the Pro Q4. Just low shelving some stuff, making a little dip in the mids and boosting the highs.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow.
And also using the IDX.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow.
And to top it off, also the Silk vocal. It's more or less comparable with the Soothe 2 plugin. I didn't use Soothe 2 in this project, but this one comes really close and works really well on vocals.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow, cause I miss your love, need your love, calling you now.
And the last plugin of this one is the Pro C2, and this one is basically a sidechain compressor. So I sidechained it to my sidechain bus, so it listens to the kick. Oh, maybe a cool one. If you do a sidechain on your kick, you only want a sidechain on the high end. So that's what this is for. So here I select, okay, I want to have the external trigger. So basically the trigger which is coming in over this bus. And I only want to have the top end of it. So I'm gonna low cut all the low information because a kick is basically a sample of, let's say, half a second, maybe longer. So that will mean that the compressor will be working the whole sample through, so it doesn't give the pumping feeling. So what I do is literally cut off the low end, only keep the high end, which is basically the transient, which you want to sidechain compress.
I need to dial the code in my phone, ring it somehow, cause I miss your love.
Okay, and then we have two more things going on here. I'm using an aux bus to my, it's called a Tegler, but it's basically my reverb unit. It's the Tegler Audio Raumzeitmaschine I'm using. Go to the reverb bus so you can see what I'm doing there. So this is basically the I/O. So here I'm sending the audio through my ADDA converter through the ROM side machine and get it back in. Then I have this fabulous plugin which I can control the unit with. So yeah, these are basically the settings of my reverb. Then I'm using a bandpass because I don't want to have the low end of the reverb, and also not really the high end of it, because for some reason it can sound pretty harsh, and in some tracks it works, but I wanted to go with more like a Eurodance vibe with this track. So I also needed a more vintage kind of character. So cutting off the high end of your reverb is basically a really good start to achieve that. Now, this whole project is also made in Dolby Atmos. So I'm using an upmixer from my stereo reverb to have it in the 7.1.2 Atmos bed, but I'm not gonna dive really deep into that because the stereo version is basically a down mix of this plugin, and this down mix is more or less 1-to-1. So for the stereo version, it doesn't really matter if I have this on or not. So this is basically the main vocal, but there are 3 more layers. So let me go to vocal 2. And this is the same vocal with, I think, even the same processing, almost the same processing, but pitched up by 12 semitones.
I need the dollar code in my phone ringing somehow, 'cause I miss you.
So once again, I've got the Waves tune, I've got my other WA2A compressor, the Pro Q. I needed a little less low end in this part because, okay, it's already 1 octave higher. Yeah, nothing too special going on here. Once again, the IDX. And then this is a cool one, the Pitch Monster. And you'll see I'll be using this one later on the vocoder track. But this gives like also some other movement to the vocal.
I need the dollar code in my phone ringing somehow.
And then the third layer is pitched up by 24 semitones.
I need the dollar code in my phone ringing somehow.
It just fills up the high end. It gives like a little sparkle when I play those 3 together.
I need the dollar code in my phone ringing somehow, 'cause I miss your love, need your love, calling you now.
So yeah, those are the main layers, and then the vocoder, which is basically one of the most important parts of the whole vocal itself. So what I did, I made a MIDI track, which are basically just the chords of the song. So in this MIDI track, I routed the MIDI of the vocoder to my audio vocoder track, instance A, which is the Pitch Monster 2, to channel 1. And that means this plugin receives now the MIDI information. I can select vocode, select MIDI, and now it will listen to
Dollar code in my phone ringing somehow, 'cause I miss your love, need your love, calling you now. I need.
So yeah, I've used here a plugin version of my LA2A, once again an equalizer, and the Silk vocal. And also, of course, the sidechain compression whenever the kick is playing. Also again, some reverb, some delay. Oh, I completely forgot about the delay. It's also a super simple channel. It's literally an H delay, 1/4, slightly bit of feedback, and a ping pong. It's a ping pong delay. Also, once again, a bandpass filter. And if I play all the vocals together, it sounds like this.
I need the dollar code in my phone ringing somehow, 'cause I miss your love, need your love, calling you now.
So when I started the project, I also needed to download the ringtone file, but of course, due to copyright reasons, this ringtone file cannot be in it. Which is sad because it's really good. So what I did was recreating the melody more or less. Like, it shouldn't be a 1-to-1 copy, but I wanted to use the ringtone as an inspiration, not like a blatant rip-off. Okay, it's really close, I admit, but... And this sound is made by Serum 2. And for some reason, Serum 2 has so many amazing presets. So yeah, I used the Analog Crispy Cotton for this one, and I tuned it a little bit. I don't really know what I tuned exactly. But of course I automated the cutoff. So yeah, that's the main lead, and just cutting off the low end of it. Let's go to the pad. Also once again, Serum 2, Analog Butter presets, also some slightly tweaks, but honestly, like I think if you just load in the preset, you will be coming a long way already. So I turned off the first reverb, but weirdly enough kept the second one, because mostly I just turn off all the reverb and delay stuff in the plugins themselves, and I send them through my to my reverb and delay buses.
Code in my phone ring.
So yeah, a butter smooth pad. Then we have the arpeggiator, also Serum 2, also a preset. I mean, why not using a preset when it's already in there and it just works? And also with this, I just cut off the lows, slightly high-end boost, but nothing too special going on here. Also note that I sidechained those on the kick. And this oh yeah, maybe cool to know. I wanted to have like a massive cutoff right before the first drop kick. So I just use a trim tool. Like I never automate my volume automation of the track itself, because if I later need to adjust it, I need to adjust it everywhere in the automation, and now I can just make it louder or softer by just moving the fader without needing to override any automations. So what this does, let me go back to the pads once again. And gone. And I do the same with the reverb and delay buses. Also, you can see 3 buses. This is just my template because I got my Tegler, and I also got a Lexicon 960L as reverb, but I didn't use this one on this track. Now, the bass, also super easy. It's a silent one. It's literally just 2 sine waves, 1 2 octaves down, 1 1 octave down. Slightly decrease in volume because I wanted those upper harmonics, but I wanted to have the lower harmonics still dominate. Yeah, let's go to the first drop. Here we just have the vocal, kick, a bass, and a crash. So really nothing special going on here.
Need a dollar code in my phone ringing somehow, 'cause I miss your love, need your love, calling you now.
So let me show you how I made the bass. It's basically 3 layers. First one is a Serum 2 layer. As you can see, the Go Up Pepper preset, also slightly adjusted. And I low cutted it, gave a small boost in the high end, and this is how it sounds. So it's a nice wide stereo image we get there. The second bass is like the organ bass from a lot of 90s dance tracks. It comes straight out of Nexus, and it's called organ bass. Who have guessed that? Also, just a preset as is. Just low cutted it. I used a tape emulation to give it some more vintage vibes. It's really subtle, but it makes a difference when you use tape emulation on different kinds of tracks and even on the master channel, which I also often do. And the last bass is also super simple. I used the silent one just solely for the lowest end, for the lowest octave, and that's this one, the -2. What I did was also -3 to give it some more like just a rumble feel, but it doesn't really add something to the audible area of the track. And then the kick, I'm just using Contact to sample the kick. It's a Cashmere House Kick 12, so that's that. I did do some stuff on the kick. So first of all, I really wanted to push the high end because I only I'm only using one kick and I'm not layering it this time. So this kick already has the information. It just needed a lot, a lot more in the high end. Then the next one is the Magma from Waves. It's a simple distortion plugin, so it adds a little bit of more upper harmonics to it. Let me just show you with and without. And the next plugin is not a plugin. It is where I route the audio to my Wes Audio Prometheus, and the Prometheus is an equalizer which looks like this. It's a Pultec style EQ, but hardware. It's there in the rack. If you want to see a full tour of my studio, I did one a couple of months ago, so make sure to check it out. I think I will link it somewhere. You'll find it. And then to top it off, I use the Ampex tape emulation plugin again. Also here, I sent the audio to my sidechain bus, and this is set as a pre-fader. So it doesn't impact on how loud I mix in the track. It's pre-fader, so it basically takes the volume out of the chain and sends it to the sidechain bus. And I have this main kick, and I also have like a secondary kick, which is basically the same kick, but tuned a bit different, as you can see here on EQ. All the processing should be more or less the same, so. Oh, yeah, maybe cool. In the second part of the drop, let me just show you.
Calling you now.
Now we're at the bass. I introduce a second bass, and it's like the old school 90s. Super simple preset. It's just a sawtooth. We just made a little bit stereo, detuned it, and that's it, with just a slight bit of distortion. And then, of course, cutting the low ends, boosting the low mids a little bit to give it more oomph, and of course, sidechaining it to the kick. So here I introduced the first arp I already showed, and the second arp to give more like a rhythmic vibe. It's also a Stereo 2 preset. It's a transient pants. Lol. So just cutting the low ends and just topping off the high ends as well. Also sidechained it and gave it. Everywhere you see the green buses, this literally means I send it to the reverb bus or to the delay bus. The last one is a stereo submix. So this is the stereo master here. It's separate from the Dolby Atmos master because it can get really messy when you need to extract all the stereo information from the Dolby Atmos panning. Now, this might be a cool one, the piano sound. Let me just start with turning off all the plugins on the piano. Just keeping the sidechain. So this is the Native Instruments Noir Pure, sorry. This is basically the piano sound I use in almost all of my productions. I just really like it because it can go really wide. You can have like a really gentle piano and a really aggressive one like this. Now a more unconventional method, I'm using the Maserati GTI. It's basically a plugin meant solely for guitars, but if you put it on heavy and you crank the parameters a little, you get like a really aggressive piano sound. Then the next one is the Greg Wells Piano Centric. Then we have the Pro Q4, which I'm using the resonance filters. Because especially on louder volumes, the high end of this piano can be quite harsh, and I don't want to have it punching through the mix, especially on the bigger festival systems. So I'm also using an H delay on this piano. It's a really quick one, it's ping pong. So it gives like some kind of slap to the piano. which per definition makes it also much wider. So next in the chain is my Tegler Schwerkraftmaschine, and yeah, these are the settings. It's basically a very mu compressor. Then I'm using the Pro L2. Just to top off the really high transient spikes, but that's mainly to have more control of it in the mastering section. So if you have a lot of transient spikes in your mixing, you might want to have to either clip distort or limit them somewhere in the process already, because otherwise your mastering limiter will need to work much harder and your track will be sounding less loud. And here I also did the same trick with the trim. So this is also the gain plugin, which I used right before drop 2. Okay, so what am I missing? Oh yeah, all the synthesizer sounds. So this is also Serum 2. The preset is called Classic Techno Lead. I did adjust some stuff on it, especially making it much longer to have like the 90s lush sustain sound. I added a reverb to it because for some reason I didn't feel like the Tegler was the right fit for this sound, so I used the Pro R2, then the EQ, and then I used my Tegler Crème, which does make a big difference. So what this is basically a Pultec style EQ at the top and an SSL style compressor at the bottom. So what I did was literally boosting the high ends a little bit. It has a really silky vibe, so it's not super aggressive, even though it's a high boost at already 10K. And the compressor is, yeah, I mean, the SSL compressor is known to be really punchy and really snappy. So I did a little bit of threshold, a really short attack, but you can still hear like the clicks of the initial transient, but it really improves the clarity of the sound in the mix. The next one is also Serum. And here I got rid of the first delay and the second reverb. I used the kaleidoscope. To give it a little bit more movement. Then again, the Pro R2 as a reverb. And also some EQing. Of course, all of them are also sidechain compressed. And then the third layer of the melody is just an init preset. It's super simple, it's 1 octave lower. But just to fill in like the gaps in the frequency. Just a little bit of reverb and a little bit of EQing. And if we play those together, you get like a complete package. You get like a full sound which is moving because of the second layer and which is full because of the third layer. Am I missing something? I don't think so. So let's go through the percussion. Also, no special stuff in here. It's like, it's 90s, so it has to be simple. So what I did, just topping off, of course, cutting off the low end and topping off the high end, because especially percussion can be really harsh. And I want to have like a pleasant sounding track and not like an aggressive, harsh sounding, especially not this one. The crashes. Just using an edge delay to emphasize like the crash impact, so it rings a little longer. Another cymbal. And another cymbal. The hi-hats, just an afterbeat one. So it's this one, you will find it somewhere. We all have the Kashmir sounds. An EQ. And a plate reverb. but like really gently used. So it just gives like a small accent on the high end. But for real, like this is barely noticeable in the mix. But still, it adds something. Then the clap. I think it's the Creative clap. Yeah, Creative 03. Just cut the sample because it has a which I didn't like. I just liked the initial clap, but that makes it really short. So what I did was literally, where's my clap here? So what I did was using the same trick as I did with the piano. I used a ping pong delay, 132, to make it like super wide and make it move a little. Then some basic EQing. And then I have my 1178 from Wes Audio. It's the top one over there. Yeah, and this one is literally, again, the routing of the actual hardware. So I usually also make my own risers, which is super simple to do. What I do is literally using one oscillator, 8 voices, detune it, sometimes some more, sometimes a little less. Using a bandpass filter, just automating the cutoff and the pitch. And that gives you this. So it has a basic EQ, it has sidechain compression, and is also routed to the reverb. That's it. Oh, and also for the second drop, I added an extra layer. So that was everything for the first drops. And now for the last drop. This one is pretty funny because I was like looking for a great acid sound and I stumbled across the Nexus 5 Stomp and Acid 2 preset. And this is literally... And for some reason, I became from a producer to somebody really lazy. And I just drew this one note and it works. I mean, it works, so why not? It's there. I did use some automation on it. Let me find this acid sound. Okay, so I'm using the Pro Q for some basic EQing, the Kaleidoscope for some movement, and Volcano 3 as my filter. But I also turn off the filter here. This is a dry wet, by the way. So it's basically here more or less 50% or exactly, I think. Anyway, so you get like 50% filtered, 50% as is. So here it's not doing anything, but it's coming back in the second part. Now, what I did to make it more interesting is recreating the melody, but chopping it up differently. To give it more like a strobe feel. And then I also used the two arpeggiators to fill up the sound a little bit. And at the end I also used the piano to play the same MIDI notes as the acid sound. And that's how I made Call You Now. So if you have any questions or you'd like to see some more content of this kind, drop it down there in the comments and also feel free to subscribe. Okay, bye.